to just get started?
How to get started?
Yeah.
It depends on what you're trying to achieve here and what kind of problem you're trying to solve. And it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of time to figure out things and clarity. So if you want, you could talk to me after the class if you have any specific problem. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Because there are no general answers. And like for myself also, I've been quite involved in health research for a long time, and journey has never been easy. So someone has to start from somewhere. So if you have anything in your mind, we could very well discuss it and perhaps provide some directions.
Okay, ma'am.
But I'll definitely call someone who has been running a startup for some time, and probably he or she would be able to also answer your question. So I'll take note of that. She is just starting, no, yeah, and that is why I called you because her age is not very different from yours. So the idea was that if she can, you can too. That was the thing. Her journey has also not been very easy. Being on the other side of the uh, dais, it's always easier to suggest and make comments. But just see her passion, and she's still continuing despite all the hurdles. So that was the thing. The idea of calling someone young is that if they can, you can too. That is why I've not immediately called someone from middle age, but I will definitely call. Any other thing you want to say? Because this is very important for me to know. It was not just a session. I want you to really gain something out of it. Okay, if you have any other comments later on, you can always drop me an email. We will be starting off with the class of today. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today we will be talking about innovations in the field of uh, helping old people age gracefully and die or end their lives without much hassles. As the world is making progress in the field of medicine, healthcare, and improved facilities in daily lives, I think someone needs to mute their mic. Thank you. So, as the world is making a lot of progress, there is something called as demographic transition going on. Anyone knows what it means?
No, ma'am.
So, demographic transition means how the proportion of people in certain age groups or age groups in a population are changing over the period of time. Now, the best way to visualize the demographic transition is to look at population pyramids, which I will be shortly showing to you. Population pyramids, when we look at the history of population pyramids, say for example, last 20 years of a country, then if we can see the variation in the population pyramid, it is easier to see the demographic transition. So, for example, let me show you. Is my browser visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So, see, this is the population pyramid of India. It was not like this before. So, for example, if I look for some other country, so you see, when generally in any country, people in the lower age group used to have higher proportion in the population. As the age grew higher, there were less and less people. Okay, and this country is in relatively its earlier phase of development. That is why its population pyramid is like this. So generally, all the countries started with the population pyramid of this ever since history. But as the development is going on, people are marrying late, conceiving babies even later, and due to improved healthcare facilities, these people are surviving more. So that is why the shape of the population pyramid is undergoing a transition. So for example, India was also like that some 50 years back, but now it looks like this. So as you can see, this area, this has shrunk, and we have more people in the middle, and gradually this will rise. And for example, if I show you for United States of America, so you can see the difference. They have very few people in the young age group, and relatively a lot of people who are above 60s. So this is called as the demographic transition, that as any country develops over the period of time, the proportion of people in its population in different age groups changes. And by change, I mean that we tend to find higher number of people or higher proportion of people. Proportion is the right word. So, and higher compared to the previous years of population pyramid. So the as the percentage of old people in a population rises, the population pyramid changes. So population pyramid is actually an epidemiological term. Most of the researchers in the field of demography and health planning often see that how a country's population pyramid is changing, because that tells us a lot about the problems that any country faces. So for example, back to India, when it was like flattened out here, most of the problems that our country was facing was related to infant mortality, neonatal mortality, and early child deaths. But now, as our population pyramid is changing, the nature of the disease in the population also changes. So that is why we use population pyramid. Is the concept of population pyramid clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if tomorrow I give you data, if I give you a census data, you can create your own population pyramid. So country, India conducts census every 10 years. If you would to take hold of India's data, male, female, and age group, just these three information, and you could actually create population pyramid of India in the last 20 census data. So that would help you to understand how our country is transitioning. Yeah. So that is why uh, the concept of geriatric innovations becomes important, because the world population is changing in its nature. And most of the data in this lecture will be taken from the USA. So, but also we'll be discussing in the last about the Indian scenario. So as we can see that almost according to this report, every day in the US, 10,000 people turn 65. And by 2020, which is almost finished, older adults will represent almost one-fifth of the entire population. Now, the question that arises is that why should we really bother about 20% of the population? Why it is so important to pay special attention to these people? The stats says everything. In fact, we know that those above 50 and older generate almost $7.6 trillion in economic activity. And the active aging industry in the US is expected to triple in the next 3 years, nearly to $30 billion. So, but the question arises is why bother about these people? What do you think?
Emotional reasons.
Emotional reasons?
Because we will also become those people in coming years.
Because of the market share.
Okay,
Ma'am, because they are very experienced in every field.
okay, so I see market experience. We will also become informed with time, and they are experienced. So when you say they are experienced, we are trying to gain something out of them, maybe from their lessons and everything, right? But when we talk about innovations, so innovation, forget about the word innovation. Let's look at the problem. So why do you think it is important to focus in this age group of people and try to identify what can be improved in their lives? Why is it so important for the one-fifth of the population? Why do they need or demand our attention at all? Why care?
Because if we, ma'am, focus on that age group, we'll be able to cater more people by our innovation.
So catering people, okay. And
Ma'am, their guidance to their elder one.
and guidance to elder one and like हमें क्यों फर्क पड़ना चाहिए इन लोगों से? मतलब why should we care about these people?
Ma'am, one thing could be that old peoples are not used to technology and its benefits, so we can use this opportunity to make something and innovate something in that area for them.
And
Ma'am, old people teach the young people how to live the life and how to continue. So it is important for older people to be in the young people's life.
okay, fine. So they have their age-old wisdom to share with young people. But you see, when we talk about innovation, we talk it in terms of meaning, providing meaning to people through our product or service or our innovation. Now, these people, they have already contributed a lot in the economic upliftment of their country wherever they have worked during their working years. Now, they are not able, they are quite fragile and infirm, and they don't have continuous support. Many don't have continuous support from their families or from their employers. In that age, it becomes very difficult to handle a lot of things. Your body is changing, your mind is changing, and psychologically also there are a lot of transitions going on, and as a result people face problems. It's just like an infant. You become helpless at that age, and there are a lot of problems that old people face. And given the nature of our families which is changing over the period of time, more and more old people are ending up alone. And then it becomes all the more important to pay heed to the lives of these people also, so that they don't become invisible in our society. And that is why, one aspect of being problem solvers is to be sincere and be aware of each section in the society and try to attempt something for people such that it is inclusive and it takes care of all the people and their dignity to life, not just focusing on teenagers or young age groups. For example, I will give you a very simple example. Most of us go to gym, and perhaps in the cardio section or in the weightlifting section, how many of us have seen older people? Older people is a far-fetched term. How many of us have seen someone more than 50 working out in the gyms? Anyone?
Yes.
Hmm?
No, ma'am.
So you must try to see where I'm going at. Our society sort of celebrates youth and adolescent, and that is all fine. But old people are also quite an important segment of our population, and just because they are old and not dead doesn't make them invisible. So we have to be cautious about the fragility they are facing and all the problems they are facing, and somehow try to create meaning in their lives, not just from the marketing point of view or from the point of view of penetration of technology, but also such that we sort of honor their problems and try to create meaning where it really, really would help them. So I always think about this thing that I hardly see old people in the gyms. And perhaps in the UK, I think there was one guy who used to play football and he was quite old and he was the only one who used to come to gym. But in India, I've hardly seen people. Maybe it's because of the culture that in India we are not that conscious about physical activity. But can we create a gym chain in which, it is only for elderly people where they don't feel, uh, a bit reserved to join the gym because health needs and to be physically active is need of everyone. So can we do something in that regard? So, this is how whenever we talk about a section of population, it's not always logical. There are emotions involved.
Ma'am, we can still spot older people in parks taking a walk and other stuff. But not in gym, but we can still spot them other places exercising.
Okay, yeah. So mainly walking they do. Sometimes they do yoga also. But you see, as people age, the metabolic rate decreases and the muscles become increasingly fragile. And that is why their bodies are more prone to fall. And when they fall, it's very hard for them to recover if the fall is really bad. But if their muscles and was stronger or they had stronger built, if we provided them proper facilities to exercise and all, including proper training, then perhaps we could also reduce the case of osteoporosis and hip falls in the elderly. So walking as a general is fine and all, but this especially when cardio is not sustainable as an exercise for the rest of our lives. We have to identify something which is sustainable for the rest of the lives. So that way also, and besides, there are so many diseases, chronic diseases, obesity and diabetes, and they can be really controlled if these people are provided proper training and all. So yeah, and this figure one shows the national income level and percentage of older population. The floor is open for interpretations. Interpret this for me, please. So what is the general trend you are observing?
Older people are getting richer.
Uh, 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 how?
Ma'am, like over time, the section is gaining more wealth.
Where is time?
Ma'am, here it is given on the blackish dot is from 2015 and the triangle is from uh, 2050. The projections.
Yes. So look at the legend. It says percentage of age group 65 and above in total population in 2015 and that in 2050. And it in bracket it shows LHS. That means the left hand side y-axis is the one which has to be used. You get the difference now?
Basically, it's showing that very rich countries with very rich per capita income or even medium per capita income countries, both most of them in the coming time will from 15 to 2050 will see a shift in their population of people with age 65 plus.
Yeah, we can see that for all the countries in the x-axis, for all the countries given in the x-axis, the percentage of age group 65 and above in 2050 is more than that in 2015, irrespective of the GNI per capita. So how do you interpret it? What does it show?
Ma'am, we can take the live examples like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. They are also old and they are the richest persons in the world.
Hmm.
So as people get older, their company rise and they earn money. So the
No, no,
old people have much money than the younger people.
no, but this plot is not showing the relationship between proportion of people in older age groups and money. This is showing something really very different. Please don't confuse, please don't correlate the proportion of people in 65 with money. It is actually a plot which has two y-axis. I could very well separate this plot into two plots with a GNI per capita for countries and with percentage of age group of people. So just because these two information are put in one plot doesn't mean that they are correlated. It is showing two information at the same time, that for the given countries the proportion of people above 65 will be higher in 2050 as compared to 2015 for all the countries irrespective of gross national index.
Ma'am, these countries are all either very rich countries or not poor countries,
Yeah,
like
so
BRICS countries or Turkey. So, for example, if maybe if we had African countries graph, then we'd see a different picture.
could
So
be, yeah.
that's what this telling.
Yeah. So the countries in the world are distributed in categories of high income countries, low income countries, low and middle income countries. Now, WHO and World Bank have changed the way they categorize different countries. But the idea of this plot was to show that in these countries, and perhaps the data was available only for these countries, that we can see that the elderly population is going to rise, expected to rise. So before we talk about, creating solutions, we have to identify problems. We have to identify what is it really lacking. And this figure 2 tells us about the living arrangements of adults 65 and above in 2016. What is your interpretation of this one?
For about 60%, their partner is alive and they are living into it together. And for 30%, their partner is dead and they are alone, living with their son or anything. And for 9%, they are in like old homes and others.
I think we cannot assume that just because they are living alone, their partners are dead. Maybe they are separated, right?
Yes.
And approx 59% are living with their spouse or partners, and 29% still continue to stay alone. So social isolation, lack of social connection, especially in that age, could be really problematic because the mind is not very flexible and the stress absorption stress absorption ability of people also decreases radically in that age group. So elderly population suffers from social isolation a lot. Other problems that they face is they have limited transportation options, lack of affordable housing, and access to healthcare services. Now, this limited transportation options reminds me of the lack of inclusive facilities for physically challenged people in India. How many of you have ever thought about ramps in the buses? How will a wheelchair bound elderly person travel in Indian buses? How can they go for grocery shopping with their smart wheelchairs in India?
Some of the big city implement, but no private buses, I think.
Yeah. So you see, this is called as inclusive spaces for all kind of people. There was a very beautiful quote I had read. Disability is not in the people, it is in the environment. Our environment should be capable enough to cater to the special needs of everyone. So physical disability is not about people, it's about us as an environment. Our environment should be built. So for example, you must have gone to gardens with revolving doors in which you enter while revolving. Now, I had never thought that how will a wheelchair bound person even enter the garden or park which has revolving doors. So these are the things that urban planning people should think about and raise about. But I'm trying to bring your attention to our own myopic vision. Like we see, but we don't really see, and that is why, like in abroad, there are buses which have ramps. In fact, in India also, the airport buses have ramps, but the general buses don't have ramps, and as a result of which, people who are living alone, uh, they face a very hard time transporting from one place to another. So, and it can be really problematic for them to manage their day-to-day affairs with such kind of handicap in the environment. So it's the environment that is handicapped. Another thing that brings me to a memory which is not related to this topic is that once I was in a conference in which the conference was for deaf people. So they were all talking in sign languages, and I was not able to understand anything. And at that time, I realized that I was the one who was handicapped because I did not know their language. So the definition of physical disability and handicap is very contextual, and that comes when we really observe and see that every person in the society matters. It's not just those who compose the maximum proportion of it. So when it comes to elderly care, we can call successful health system will be those which evolve quickly to the needs of older patients, which means they are safe, comfortable, and have treatment and end of life experiences that matter to them or caregivers. And there is limited government intervention in the area of elderly care, as a result of which there are lots of NGOs and advocacy organizations that work in this area. And especially in rural areas, the condition is much worse, even though they have community in which their emotional needs are met, but for the healthcare needs, it's still very tragic. And given the fact that healthcare expenditure for the elderly is highest among all the groups, and they are not earning anything, that makes it a double-edged sword for these people. So you must think that there are some genuine problems that this section of our society is facing, and this community is riddled with problems. They just need someone who can actually do research about the kind of problems they are facing and try to ease their lives in some way or the other. So technology should be able to cater to life of everyone. So there's this program Meals on Wheels, which currently operates in United States of America, and it has networked with a lot of private and public companies, and it delivers meals to isolated and vulnerable older adults. So it is not only fulfilling a nutritional need, which is, as we all know, the primary need for all of us to survive. But when someone goes to deliver food in their homes, they feel relieved for some time. Now, imagine, I'm sure some of you might have experienced what it is to be lonely. Any comments? What is loneliness? What is it to be lonely? What is it like to be lonely?
Ma'am, like not having a sense of belonging in
Sense
any
of
like
belonging.
friend circle, or maybe we are having human contact, but we do not feel like that we are there, like are a part of that thing.
And how does that make you feel, or it makes one feel when that sense of belongingness is lost or is
It
missing?
does feel bad.
Yeah,
It might feel bad.
it definitely feels bad. Imagine a situation in which someone is just sitting in their rooms for whole day, for months and months, and not having any human contact with anyone. And love is to humans what water is to plants. And without love, everyone perishes. In fact, if you read about news in foreign countries, you will see that elderly people found dead in their apartments. Most people become so hopeless when they are alone that they don't feel like living.
And the euthanasia thing is also there. Many older people also try to like they
Yeah,
want euthanasia for them.
Yeah. So you think they wanted to die if they had people who loved them with them? Nobody wants to die, right? People want to live as long as they can. But it is the when the hope of living is overpowered by the despair of living, people find it very difficult to face every single day. And this mainly happens in elderly people. Young people, we also become lonely a lot of times because of certain issues in our lives. But relatively, young people are at a still a bigger advantage because you can go somewhere, you can visit places, you can play with technology, do whatever you want to. But in the case of elderly, the coping mechanisms for loneliness and social isolations almost break down. And it's a very sensitive situation. And these are the people also who need companionship and the fact that someone to tell them that they are not alone. And this greatly impacts their psyche and the quality of life that they live. So, this program, Meals on Wheels, not only delivers them food but has also taken care of their emotional needs. And it targets low income and most vulnerable populations because these are the people which are at the highest risk of poor quality of life and more complications associated with old age. And upper income seniors are also at risk of isolation and loneliness. So the problems in the strata of the society differ. They are not invisible. So, in India, I'm not sure how much of research is going on in geriatrics, but in abroad countries, people are doing research to predict frailty in adults so that the earlier frailty can be predicted, the earlier interventions can be made to prevent the deterioration of their lives. So, since we are living in a technological age, it is very difficult not to think about how technology can play a role in improving the lives of these people. And as a student had pointed out, that old people are not very much familiar with technologies, so they would need assistance in understanding and utilizing these technologies. Now, quickly, the figure 3 shows the adoption of digital technology. See, one thing you must have noticed is that in the presentations, I use lots of graphs and stats. There is a very deep intention behind all this. Data speaks a lot and it helps in conveying your story better and in convincing people, and it provides a good evidence. It is almost becoming the universal language in which people are talking. So when you are also working in your respective areas, you should also try to look at the existing statistics about your area. It really helps to develop a proper perspective. And that said, uh, please interpret this bar plot for me, side by side bar plot. So this is called a side by side bar plot. So what is happening in smartphone ownership?
In smartphone ownership,
Hmm.
younger ones have more accessibility to it than the older ones.
Yeah, the possession of smartphone is higher in younger age groups as compared to elderly. Look at the difference. Now look at this difference for the internet users and for the e-book reader ownership. What do you see?
Ebook is pretty much equal.
And what about internet users?
Internet users are a bit close, but not enough. There is a gap of 20%.
Yeah, but still more than 50% of the people above 65 are somehow connected to internet.
So basically, they are using internet relatively more easily than they would use smartphones.
I'm I'm not sure I will compare these two from this plot, because the bar plots comprise of for specific populations. So for what the researchers would have done is, they sampled a population, they took all the internet users, and then out of those they identified internet users above 18 and those above 65. So we cannot, perhaps not compare, perhaps we can say that the proportion of elderly people who are using smartphone, the proportion is less than those who are aged 18 plus. But I'm not sure I will be able to compare internet users in this age group with smartphone ownership. uh, I'm not sure if I will interpret it like that, because maybe the sample from which they are coming is different.
Remember, the people above 65 are also above 18. So are they getting mixed up in that data
No, no,
too?
no, no. So what they would have done is that above 18 plus obviously means less than 65.
Okay.
Mm. So talking about healthcare and wellness of elderly people, National Institute of Health is a premier health institute, research institute in the United States of America. It launched its Go for Life campaign. So this program caters to the exercise and physical activity campaign, which promotes community exercising and integration of physical exercise into the lives of elderly adults. You see, when we exercise, it's not just our body which feels good; it's also our mind that brightens up. And there is science which says that there are release of neurotransmitters when you indulge in exercise or even some other extracurricular activities, and that really helps people in leading happier lives. So you just have to identify what the problems they are facing and try to wrap your solutions in such a manner that it is not only targeting the mechanical aspect of the problem, but it is actually creating some meaning in the lives of people who are emotional beings. And that is what may distinguish your solution from some other mechanical or technical solution, because this is very much missing in our world. You know, as we are becoming more and more technologically advanced, our sense of emotional understanding is degrading a lot, and it becomes very difficult for elderly people when this sense of understanding is not shown by all of us, because somehow we are also responsible for them as they are adults. So this program has again partnered with public and private providers. And again, you should see that, you know, the idea behind PPP, triple P mode is to expand your network. And in many areas, government usually cuts a lot of funding to NGOs and advocacy organizations. But if you have a support of private organization, the problems of solvency or insolvency will not be too much. So that way, you have to not only think about what you are providing at the moment, but how will you sustain your solution. So in this way, collaboration and networking becomes really very important. In the startup summit, also, the first speaker had mentioned that networking can make or break your solution. So we should also think about how we will expand and scale our solutions. And you see, this Go for Life also has 41,000 people subscribing to their email updates. Now, we might be tempted to think what is so good about these emails that this many people have subscribed. But it's the nature of emails, the nature of content of these emails, which makes these people feel or smile a bit when they look at their inboxes. You know, sometimes, I think most of the times comes a phase in our lives when we don't find peace outside. And so we are trying to look for peace inside. And then we start looking for ways. Sometimes we read books, sometimes we subscribe to some online magazines and try to read and try to figure out our lives in our own manner. So, you know, these are very small, small things, but they are very impactful. One just needs to think really deeply from the human point of view. When we think from human point of view, then technology is a crutch that will help us, because that's how it is supposed to. But technology can never replace emotions 100%. Another thing that comes into picture when we talk about elderly people is the long-term care. According to CDC, which is Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, around 60.5% of Americans 65 and older reported to have at least one physical disability or complex activity limitation. And it is estimated that 70% of adults turning 65 in 2016 will eventually need some form of long-term care. Now, when we talk about institutional long-term care, even though we are talking about United States of America, but we should always think locally and act globally. So, what are the prospects of long-term care in India? How is it fared in India? What are the healthcare problems of elderly people in India? Even in these times, people as old as 108 are being forced to get out of their homes when they are at the most fragile phase of their lives. So the question immediately should come to us is, can we do something, at least if not solve, can we provide some evidence to the government through our research and show the policymakers that here is this problem and we need to do something about it. So it's not always even creating the solutions also, if you can using evidence throw light on the problem that is not so much visible, but you can actually show people in the position of authority and decision making that this is the problem, that alone will be a beautiful quality of work. So think about how the long term care in India works, and you must all be having your grandfathers, grandmothers, and maternal grandfathers, grandmothers. Some of them might be staying with you. Try to identify the problems that they are facing. Talk to them, and generally, when we talk to people, things become much more clear. So now we'll be talking about certain innovations in the area of geriatrics. This solution, called as Rendeavor, it attempts to overcome social isolation through the power of virtual reality and shared experiences. So as we have lastly discussed, loneliness among seniors is a modern mental health epidemic. But quite sadly, it is also becoming very common in younger generation also. And that worries me a lot more. And social isolation is definitely detrimental to health as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So this particular organization, which also grabbed the first prize in the New Ignal Innovation Awards, attempts to connect the old people using the power of virtual reality. So take a moment to read what the CEO of the company has to say and notice how the idea was born from his personal experience. You see, so sometimes there are things which are very close to our environment, our surroundings, that compel us to do something about that. Yeah. And college is a fantastic time to experiment as much as you want, because the amount of freedom that you have in college, it's amazing. So in fact, every year you must target at least doing something unconventional, be it in your semester breaks or year breaks, something that will not only help you technically but also make you evolve as a human. And there you will be able to find how technology can really play a very significant role. So this is the standard architecture of how the system works. So if some of you are planning to develop some kind of solution which has an architecture, it would be nice to create a structured schema of how the solution will work. And this makes it much easier to understand how the system is working. And I think the diagram is very self-explanatory. It's basically a content provider platform and providing the experience of VR headsets and getting information from family portal also, so that customized stories can be made. And ultimately the idea is to, as simple as making someone happy and smile. And that creates such a huge difference in someone's life. Imagine you are in a very bad situation and you think it's hopeless, but someone just comes to you and says, it will get better, trust me. there is a tendency for us to, feel better after that. So this is how the solution usually works, that elderly people are asked to gather in their homes or some other common area, and they are shown certain events, and then they can also communicate with each other verbally while they are watching similar clips or different clips. Going in the line of other innovations, this is a video that I really want all of you to watch.
I was inspired by my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. Every time when I saw her suffer, I wish I could have done something to help her to have better quality of life. My name is Sha Yao, and I'm the creator of Eat Well. When my grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I began volunteering in adult daycare centers to learn more about this disease. And that's when I realized there were many people who have the similar problems as my grandma. They often ate less than they should, and accidents with spilled food and food cups were common. That's the reason I designed and created Eat Well, which is a very user-centered design that can help to increase food intake, maintain dignity for its users, while also help to alleviate caring burdens by making the process of eating as easy as possible. Eat Well is a universal tableware set, actually can be used by anyone, but especially benefits seniors with cognitive impairment, small children, and caregivers of those with special needs. Now I would like to show you what makes Eat Well special. There are over 20 unique features in each Eat Well set. Every design detail and decision can be traced back to a discovery made during the 4-year process. One of the more obvious features of the Eat Well set is its color. Studies have shown that a person with dementia consumes 24% more food and 84% more liquid when using brightly colored tableware. Eat Well applies this concept to stimulate interest in its user while providing a visual contrast. Now let's take a closer look at the design of the tableware. The center bottom of the bowl allows food to collect on one side, while spoons in the Eat Well set are specially designed to match the curvature of the bowl, making scooping food significantly easier. The bowl also features right-angle sides, which help prevent accidental spills. The Eat Well set also contains 2 types of cups. To prevent the cups from tipping over, one cup has a rubber base that acts as a stabilizer, and another cup has a handle that extends to the tabletop for added support. The handle is also specifically designed to benefit users with arthritis. Every product in the Eat Well set has anti-slippage material on the bottom to prevent slipping or sliding. The set also comes with a tray that allows users to clip a bib onto the edge to help catch any dropped food and prevent clothing stains. I put so much work into my research, sketches, mock-ups, and revisions of my model based on the feedback that I received from professional caregivers. After years of research and development, Eat Well won first place at the 2014 Stanford Design Challenge out of 52 other teams in 15 countries. I truly believe this product set can revolutionize the way we see kitchenware, but only with your help. Any contribution you can provide will help improve lives of many people who struggle daily. I ask you to please support Eat Well, bring it to life, and help to spread the word. Thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed the video.
Yes.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
what were your major observations from the video that you just saw?
Ma'am, first the structures are so profound and so is means managed that they are very helpful to the elderly people as how they take the spoon in the hand. They are so means they easily fit in the hands of a older elderly person, and the cups and that the things are also uh, structured that they can easily be handled and doesn't get spilled or things get out from them easily. And the main things is color that is very good for the health also, as it, yes, it's definitely in the study that the colors are very helpful in our nature and in our behavior also.
Yeah. So very profound observations you have made, Vishal. Good.
Thank
Anyone
you,
else
ma'am.
wants to say something about what they saw in the video which has not been already said, or it wants to say it in different form?
Ma'am, actually they tried to carry off the burden from the like their relatives.
Yeah.
So so they are making easier for the care to be delivered.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, and they are making it less hassle free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You see, in the video, if you heard the speaker, she mentioned that she started from her grandmother and then went on to learn more about the disease. And when she went on to learn more about the disease, what did she do?
She met few more people with same disease.
Yeah. So she tried to expand her understanding about the issue and tried to meet a lot more people so that she could develop a much more comprehensive and exhaustive understanding of the issue. You see, the grandmother was an anecdotal case. It was an anecdotal evidence. To convert the anecdotal evidence into much more rigorous scientific evidence, she needed to go out and meet people and talk to people. People who were going to be directly involved, just like her grandmother was, in trying to identify the deeper problems. Then she did her homework to understand that how brightly colored things help in promoting the appetite of the elderly people. So the second component is the rigorous research that she did, which is a very important component when we are trying to design a new solution. The third was that she did not immediately launch what she had designed. She revised it, provided it to preliminary evaluators, and from their feedback, she consistently improved her idea and what she was offering. So, these three things mainly I try to take away from the video, that she did not stop just at her grandmother and went into her imaginary world. She went to real world, talked to real people, and did some qualitative analysis in understanding and identifying themes and the concepts and the processes. So these are few technical words in qualitative research wherein you try to narrow down and identify the thematic problems. And that's what she did. The second was research into how the brightly colored utensils or vessels can help them. And then third was to have a consistent feedback session with others. The second is this tango belt, which shows about, elderly people are much more prone to falling and all. So just watch this video. So this is, and these are the testimonials of the video. It was a very short video to show that, they have designed a belt which can minimize the impact of sudden fall, especially on the sensitive areas in human body in elderly people. Because if you go by the research, hip falls are very, very common in elderly people. Then again, there is another innovation which is called as Health E-Chair, which measures the physiological parameters of elderly at the comfort of their homes. So they don't have to go outside of the comfort zone of their houses. Transportation is anyway a problem. So what the creators have done is they have brought mini hospital in their own homes so that their vitals can be monitored, and if anything suspicious is found, further clinician help can be taken care of. So these are all targeting the very real problems of all the elderly people, and definitely it has come from very sharp observation. So don't think from no don't go from technology to problem. Work on the problem. Technology is the tool that will help you solve that problem. Sometimes what we see is, okay, I want to use machine learning and I want to use AI now. Let's hunt from the problem. ऐसा नहीं होता है. You look at the problem, you try to understand the problem, and then you try to see that how can you solve the problem. Almost always there is a technological component to the problem. So the problem remains the most important aspect of it. How you solve it comes much later. The how part comes later. The what and why are more important. So pay attention to that also while you're working on your respective projects. There's another uh, small app that has been created to improve the brain power of elderly people through using simple games. The, the product is called Lumosity because forgetfulness is a very common complaint among elderly people, and especially among young ones also these days. There's a uh, vogue of games, intelligent games, and there is something called as telomeres in DNA. Anyone knows about it?
No, ma'am.
So your DNA has faint ends, which is called as telomeres. So as we age, the telomeres decrease as we age, and there are certain things which people do so that the degradation in telomeres is happens at a very slow pace. Exercise is one of them. Good nutrition is one of them. Then playing brain games is one of them, because the slower your telomeres degrade, the slower you age, the slower brain ability also decreases. So, this is one of those apps which has been designed by neuroscientists to improve the cognitive abilities of the elderly people, because they tend to forget a lot of things. Like, even though we are younger, forgetfulness is quite common in us also. Like, for example, today I went to office, but I came back to my home forgetting laptop charger at office. So then I had to go back and stuff like that. So forgetfulness is can be quite detrimental in the case of elderly people, especially when they forget to take their vital medicines. In the absence of taking medicines, their body will show some withdrawal symptoms, and that can be quite problematic. So that is also targeting a very genuine problem among the elderly people. I encourage you to try this uh, Limosity. It's free on website, and it's a very fun game. There are certain other examples I would like to bring to your attention, and these mainly include devices which have been designed particularly for elderly people to help them in the situation of emergencies. So in India, we hardly pay attention to issues that matter, but that may be a very strong statement. But in the case of elderly, I find it to be quite true. Like in Australia, these devices have been designed because there the culture is quite living in a neutral kind of families, and most people live alone. So that elderly people can contact someone in times of emergencies, these devices have been designed. And what they do is that in moments of emergency, you can just press the buttons on these devices, and the signal will be sent to the nearest emergency health provider, and they will come to your home to help you out. And there has some GPS system also installed in it. Another significant example is this fall detection pendant. It detects a significant impact fall and its impact, and it is ideal for higher risk older adults and is waterproof. You see, detection of fall is not only sufficient. We have to think about the scenarios in which people can fall, and majority of falls generally occur even in bathrooms, washrooms, or when people are using stairs. You know, and that way they have designed their solution in such a way that fall can be detected, and if people are alone, some help can be called. Now, there was some specific examples that I talked about in the world that I found were useful for the discussion and broaden our minds. I always tend to bring back attention from global point of view to our Indian point of view because ultimately we are more familiar with the Indian context, rather relatively more familiar with Indian context, if not fully familiar, as compared to familiarity with other countries. So this is the place where we can do something. This is a place we can create some meaning, and that is why my intention is always to think about the Indian scenario also. And Indian statistics based on the census says the same story that we have seen before. The proportion of Indians above 60 are expected to rise to 11.1% in 2025. And now because the India's population is so big, this even small proportion translates to higher absolute numbers. That means we have more people to take care of in our elderly group. And most of them live in villages, and nearly half of them have poor socioeconomic status. You see, the nature of problems are very complex. It's not always about diseases and health. It's not always about the availability of hospitals. It's also about the social and socioeconomic factors that influence and affect the diseases and the possibility of diseases in certain sections of the society. And that makes real life problems much more complex than problems in the books, because book prevents a very idealized world, which is not so when we move out of our academic institution. So right in the academic institution, our training should be such like that we try to look at the problems in our real world, understand it, and try to develop, if not the entire solution, but a part of it. So India presents a very fertile ground for us to think in the area of geriatric innovations and long-term care. And so this slide mainly talks about the evidence of that a higher number of people in India would be needing assistance in this regard. So if any one of you is interested in that, your starting point would be what is the existing solutions for the elderly in India. And then you read about the literature from abroad countries, what are they doing? And then you identify the gap. So what is it that India is not doing, and where we can think about it? And why do we need to think about in the area in which I'm thinking about? How will it be useful to these people in India? And will I need to change the solution from rural area to urban area to tribal area? How will it differ? So there are several questions that need to be asked. Now, this again, it's a side by side bar plot. It shows the burden of illness type among Indians. Kindly interpret it. Try to interpret it.
It is a graph which shows the percentage of acute diseases in different age groups and various kind of diseases, such as for example, acute diseases are majorly found in the young age group,
Yeah.
and the chronic diseases are majorly found in the older age group.
Yeah. And what is your understanding of acute and chronic disease? What is the main difference between them?
Acute means a disease short time which lasts for a short time period or
Yeah.
which can be treated, and chronic disease which comes due to which comes as time passes, like the weakness of bones and muscles.
Yeah, right. More or less, you have said right. Chronic diseases are those which are long term and which consistently degrade the quality of life of people. So, mainly, very simple example would be polio. So, if someone is born with polio, over the period of time, their body has a sort of disbalance. And if we talk about diabetes, when someone has diabetes, it does not stop there. There are multiple microvascular and macrovascular complications associated with diabetes. Sometimes they affect your kidneys, sometimes they affect your eyes, sometimes they affect your knees, nerves. Sorry, not knees, nerves. So the chronic nature of the diseases, and when we talk about disease, it's not single disease. These days there is a concept coming up which is called as multi-morbidity. So there's a coexistence of multiple diseases in elderly people. So it's not that we create a solution for one particular disease and then do not pay attention to other disease, because there has been an upsurge of the number of health problems that our generation elderly is suffering from. And there is a concept of multi-morbidity and comorbidity, and that we need to target, and especially among people who suffer from chronic diseases, the concept of comorbidity is very common. So as we can see from this plot, that elderly people suffer a lot less of acute diseases, but when it comes to chronic diseases, they suffer the highest, and then they are not the earning people, they are not contributing to economic development, and yet their healthcare needs are so big and greatly affects the health economy of the nation. And India spends hardly 2% of its GDP in health. So, keeping all these numbers and economy into account, what is it that we can do with existing structure so that these people have fewer problems than they have now? So, these are, the field of elderly people provides a very fertile ground to think about in this area, and not only about innovation. If you plan to do some kind of research also for these people, it would be a very gratifying experience. So some of the medical and socio-economic problems faced by elderly in India and generally is impairment of sensory functions like vision and hearing. Their immunity declines. In fact, in United Kingdom, most of the NHS was being used for elderly people, because these people have a population pyramid which higher proportion of people in elderly age groups, and because of that, major attention of the National Health Service was among elderly people, because they were more prone to die also and they have less immunity. So the government in that area immediately recognized that their ability to bounce back to life would be very bad, and hence they identified the high risk groups in the COVID pandemic and tried to do something about it. Then in India, tuberculosis remains to be a persistent problem. Its strains have mutated, and even though other countries have eradicated it, we continue to suffer from the problem of TB. Impaired physical mobility is a problem. Especially, it becomes really very problematic for people who are physically challenged. In youth, it is still a bit less hassle free to go with physical disability, but in when you become older, it's terrible. It's very very difficult. Sometimes I think I lost my grandfather when he was 60. Sometimes I think, although I should not be saying that, but sometimes I think that his early death led to so much of avoidance of another problems that he might have faced, right? So with old age, a lot of problems comes, and high amount of substance abuse, especially in rural areas, is found among smokers and alcoholics. Sometimes they think that sometimes smoking and drinking is the only thing that provides them happiness. There are people who do nothing, but in a life full of struggles and anxiety, sometimes little sins like smoking and alcoholic consumption helps them. So over the period of time, they become addicted to it, and because of that, they face health problems, and then they don't have money for the treatment, and then again their quality of life goes down. Now the question arises is, how can we help it? Maybe not financially, but perhaps there is no end to your imagination. You could launch awareness camps in rural areas in India, in tribal areas in India, and try to sensitize and mobilize the people about all these things. And to know more about these problems among the elderly in India, I suggest these two research papers. I'll never suggest website links for you to read. Research papers are the best sources to guide the evidence. So, with this, I come to the end of our lecture, and these are the references that you might like to see after the class. I'm looking at the comments now. So let me see if there is anything that needs to be targeted. Yeah, they are more into yoga and laughter clubs than gymming. That's right. And the thing is that they feel light after doing yoga and laughter. But again, we have to perhaps make them also aware that we are not asking them to stop doing yoga or going to clubs, but perhaps something like, these days smart TVs are coming up, and there are programs on smart TVs which teach you how to do weightlifting using your body weight only. So if we can develop some kind of program in which elderly in India can log into their TVs and spend some 15-20 minutes, doing certain kind of exercises using their body weights. That will again help them in strengthening their bones and muscles. A very emotional comment from Harshal Patil there. How to make elderly people involved, or at least make them feel they're involved. You see, it's not only about elderly people. When people feel that you really care about them, not about your solution, not about the technology, but them as humans, as people who are behind their mobile phones and mobile screens, then you gain trust of those people, and then it becomes easier to work with them. So they will need to see the sincerity in you for them to feel willing enough to get involved. And when they see that your solution is actually helping them in certain areas of their lives, just like Eat Well, they will be more than happy to continue working with you or support you or seek your help in improving their lives. So, for people to feel involved, they have to see that your intentions are really sincere, they are not a facade. So, always think about that behind people, you are actually targeting emotions of the plan. Lots of companies outside, they basically, when you see advertisements and marketing campaigns, what are they doing? They're exciting us in our emotions and making us buy their products. That's what they're doing. But isn't isolating necessary? RN. What is RN? Tushar, are you there?
Right now, I think.
Okay. So I'm not sure in what context this comment was made.
It was about Corona, ma'am. I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So yes. So there is a research which has been done in 2020, which is comparing the deaths among elderly before Corona and after Corona. And there has been a marked increase in the number of suicide attempts and suicide ideations during the Corona time. So that means isolation as a health factor was important. The government did that, but the government failed to recognize that the repercussions of isolating elderly people would be disastrous if they are not, taken care of how to cater to their emotional needs to the elderly people who are isolated. So in this way, the government failed to recognize this because they failed to recognize perhaps people as emotional beings. And we do this all the time. We can try making YouTube geriatric good enough. Oh, what do you mean by that, Shrikant?
Ma'am, just like there is the YouTube Kids app for the kids, where the it's like restricted mode of YouTube. Also, there are like just cartoons and educational stuff
Yeah.
about the kids. So I
Yeah.
was thinking that the YouTube geriatric should also be a thing where there would be content related to the older peoples.
In fact, this reminds me of WhatsApp. People in higher age group, Mostly they're part of a lot of WhatsApp groups and they keep on sharing funny videos to laugh and smile and keep on socializing. So WhatsApp as a medium also has helped them in certain manners, and especially the audio recording feature. They might not be able to type. And this way also I feel that somehow a bit of their idea of not belonging is getting targeted. So when you think about developing something, also don't just begin to develop. Make a prototype, pilot it in a group of elderly people, get their feedback, get what is they're really looking for, and then come back to your product and try to improve it.
So, ma'am, for innovation project, do we have to make the prototypes?
See, going forward, we should aim to develop prototypes and working solutions because there are business plan competitions that I'm targeting, and it would be really nice if some of most of the entries in the class could be sent over there, and you could actually work on real life problems and learn. Because there is a subject on entrepreneurship also that comes in your third year. So by that time, you will have certain amount of idea. So think as if you are actually developing something.
But ma'am, we are thinking about making a product-based project. So, but we don't have enough resources for making the product.
That is fine. Resources can always be. We can always improve our resources, or we have the bandwidth and the resources to do that.
Okay, ma'am.
Don't worry about that. Yeah. Yeah. The college incubation center has sufficient amount of funds to channel them into students' ideas. So I'm telling this to everyone. Every idea is open, and every idea is precious. And then you again say that why am I being served like this? Am I a kid? Yeah. So you have to be, slightly tactful with elderly people. It's like the way you make small kids eat food. So it takes a lot of hard work, but ultimately we have to overcome their fussy nature with love. Rohit, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
What do we mean by undetermined? Where was this?
Ma'am, in the graph, that death graphs of chronic disease and that acute disease.
Okay, so undetermined means so the major groups identified burden of illness. So illness has been categorized mainly into acute, chronic, and accidents. These are some other categories of illnesses which do not fall into either acute, chronic, or accidents. Maybe it could include, I think, disability or something like that. So undetermined means there is no specific nature of illness that has been. So whichever illness that did not fall into either acute, chronic, or accident falls into the undetermined category. Okay. So usually undetermined you would have seen in pie charts as other categories, where multiple categories are merged together and we don't know the specifics, or we know the specific but they are not sufficient enough to form a group of their own. So then we club them into other category or undetermined category. In this case, undetermined would mean they have not been able to determine the kind of illness. Yeah. Vaibhav is there?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any paper of innovation? What is your question? I didn't get it.
Ma'am, I just was asking that whatever data you are giving, do we have to remember for the papers or just there will be that what you practicals you gave to us?
Yeah, नहीं ऐसा कुछ याद वाद नहीं करना है. You just have to focus on your idea and do the best in it.
Okay, ma'am, that's only doubt.
Yeah. And I'm telling this to everyone openly in the class